Can I get a good amen in this house?
Well, welcome to the Get Amen podcast. We are joined today by none other than Holton Ahlers.
Yeah.
And we are honored. Greenville's own. Greenville's finest. And Holton, man, thanks for being on, man. We're honored that you take some time. I know it's a busy time going on right now. So
yeah, I'm pumped to do it. Like I said, I just got into podcast, so when he texted me, I was all for it.
This is awesome. This is the first podcast you've been on.
It is, yeah.
Let's go.
Let's
get it.
We got him.
First one ever.
Oh my gosh!
Excited,
Once you do this one, I mean, it's just on the way up from here.
We've ruined it for
this is exactly
whenever some of these big time podcasts come calling. Just
This
is where it started.
Remember my roots, man.
That's right.
Started here.
Started at the bottom. That's right.
And man, for those of you who don't know, Holton is literally Greenville, born and braised, braised.
He was braised,
but like barbecue.
Yeah, that's right.
Born and raised Eastern North Carolina. Played high school football here at D.H. Conley,
Yes, sir.
and then went over to ECU and did some incredible stuff.
Unbelievable things.
Really awesome stuff. And so, man,
and then since his last game there, I mean, it has been on the
Crazy.
up and up.
Yeah,
man. It's been a heck of a
It's been
ride.
crazy.
Awesome.
Crazy last few months for sure, and about to get crazier.
I know, man.
Yeah, all good things, man. Why don't you just tell us a little bit, like, I mean, we're going into draft, next steps.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, first and foremost? Not necessarily about, where you're going to end up, but kind of just how has it been going
What's it
from
like to be Holton right
What's
now?
it like to be Holton, man?
Golly.
You went from, ending an incredible college career and now looking into the future. How are you feeling, man? How's life?
A million things go on in your head. I mean, I told y'all before, I'm a little stressed, a little excited, bittersweet. I'm leaving Greenville, Sunday, really. The draft ends, and they send a jet down, and I hop on that jet and go to my new home. And have no clue where it's at yet. It's Wednesday.
That's right.
So
Don't know how to pack.
yeah,
I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, so I have a hot bag and a cold bag, and if I go to Florida, I take that hot bag and ship my cold one down eventually, or honestly probably not in
Never.
Florida.
That's right.
Exactly.
Florida, you'd be all right.
And if I go to Buffalo or the Packers or anywhere in between, I take my cold bag and figure out the rest on the way. So
That's awesome, man.
stressful, excited, and kind of bittersweet. All my family's here, and watching. My parents are not getting any younger anytime soon, and my nieces are getting older by the second. So we're gonna have to live through FaceTime, and pretty much all my friends are here, and because I grew up here and then college too, and pretty much anyone in my close circles within a 10-mile radius of this place. So it's going to be a different life, but best job in the world is to go out there and play football for a living. So I'm pumped.
Yeah,
That's
that is
so cool,
that's
man.
really cool. I feel like that's such an interesting perspective, because I think there's a lot of just glamour behind the idea, and it is glamorous. It's cool, right?
Absolutely.
You had a goal even as a young kid to play in the NFL, and you're getting a chance to see that happen. But there is that flip side of, man, a lot's going to change really quick, and you got to adjust pretty quick on that.
Yeah, and that's that's just part of it. I think when you're in the quarterback businesses, you got to be able to adjust to things on the field and off the field. I'm going to sign a contract either Saturday or Sunday, and what's crazy about it is not much of that is guaranteed. And I could get cut the next day and then go to get picked up by a new team, and that's just how it is. So that's just part of the business, and that's part you love it too. You love it, and I'll get go see a new city and go meet new people and find a new church, home away from home, and do all that. So I've thought about those little things, and I feel like not a ton of people do, but when you're in the situation and it starts getting real. I didn't think about it until the last 2 weeks. You're like, holy crap, man! I'm leaving.
That's right, man. This is it.
Yeah.
I'm getting on a plane and saying goodbye to my family. It isn't for a couple weeks. This is for years. I'll be able to visit back in the off season and stuff like that. But the home that has been my home for 23 years, isn't going to be really fully my home anymore. Until I retire from football. And it's crazy.
Wild, man.
It is crazy. How much do you think your high school, college experience? We had Coach Houston here. We actually recorded an episode a couple of days. How much do you think just being in that environment, not just the X's and O's, right, but that leadership environment of being the QB1 of a major D1 college program.
Yeah.
How much do you think that leadership is preparing you for the next step?
It's prepared me a lot. I think, some people looked at me as staying home as kind of being sheltered in that. And, I see it as totally opposite. I mean, is when everyone that is in that stands, as a person, as a personal level, rather than, being in the stands. If I went to, Alabama and knowing, just my family there, it was a lot more personal here. And, when we lost, I felt it a lot more than I probably would have somewhere else. And I mean, I've been through a ton of stuff off the field, and, Aaron's helped me through a lot of stuff too that has really prepared me for it. And, like you said, being a leader, you step into a locker room, there's automatically 150 guys there that, when you're QB1, they look for you to, not just on the field, but off the field. And that's where, you got to have a good relationship, with God and understanding, you are leading guys, and, a lot of guys that are, 18 through 23-year-olds, they go through a lot of things with their head.
Lot, yeah.
ECU is probably not the most Christian university in the world. I think that's pretty well known. So there's a lot of things
it's a good time, though.
It is a good time. It is a good time. But, you're pretty much thrown, as a football player, D1 football player, you're pretty much thrown anything and everything, at you, especially as a quarterback. And, you got to think, this year I was 23 years old when I was playing. I was named the starter here when I was 18.
It's crazy.
So I had a lot to learn in a quick amount of time. I committed here, had a ton of offers, and, committed here when we weren't winning. And I didn't know how much of I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know how hard it was going to be and how much I was going to go through. But, going through it, and I could probably, teach a class on adversity and just understanding. Going to sleep at night, your heart hurting because you feel like you're letting people down, and going through that and having, what I learned is just having a circle, and you have a tight circle of people who look out for you and can keep you on the right track, and then whoever else, that's just their opinion, and that's just kind of how it was, man. It's crazy.
I think it's so cool, man. One of the things I've always respected about you, you're a young guy. 23. Compared to me, so I'm definitely getting.
You're the old guy in the room today,
for sure. But me and you grew up in this town.
Yeah.
And I get to do what I do here in this place that I grew up, which is really weird sometimes.
Yeah.
It's great sometimes.
Awesome,
there's benefits that come to it, and then there's a lot of things that are like, man, there's a lot of history here.
Absolutely.
And I have a lot of history that's not always great. And
Same here.
Yeah, same here. And so it's kind of this weird place of outliving your reputation. And what I've always respected about you is that very few young men would be willing to do that.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate it.
You stayed here, and you walked through that. And really, it's made you who you are today.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing that I always think about when I think about you is your dad, who's announcing first down Pirates
That's right.
for his own son, which is just
crazy,
amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So just kind of talk through a little bit of the journey. I know you just talked about, some of the X's and O's, but talk about what that meant for you and your dad. Because me and my dad were close, you know.
Absolutely.
So talk about how's that been on this journey, because that's just a very rare. I don't know of any other story like it. Quite frankly.
Yeah, there's really not a lot like it. From playing in your hometown to him doing that, it was a lot. And you probably know probably more than anyone. It's a lot. It's a relationship where sometimes he's your dad, sometimes he's a media member. Even he's the one interviewing me, and I'm like, this is weird. I gotta talk to him like he's not my dad. And then from announcing the games in the stands, and it's been a long journey. And it's he went through when we were talking about the X's and O's and thinking about leaving your family and all that. We kind of went through that with the recruiting process. I at the end of the day, I just didn't want to leave my family. I wanted to stay here and be close to them and be near my nieces and watch them grow up.
Cool.
My dream was to play in the NFL one day. And, when that time come, which is now, I would understand that I would have to move away, but I wasn't ready to move away from my family. I have a really good relationship with them, and, not just my dad, but everyone. But, I think it was tough for him. Because when I did commit here, it was we're gonna get this place back to where it was. It's all gonna be sunshine and rainbows, and you go out there and get hit in the mouth one time in football, and he's up there in the stands having to announce it. And then you go home after a loss, and you go 3-9 that first year. And it seems like everyone in the world hates you, and you got your family, and that's it. And he has to continue to do his job and do it the same. He's done it for the past 29 years. He's done it for 30 years, and
it's crazy.
Long before I was ever even thought about. And I just happened to be out there playing quarterback, and So yeah, it was probably tougher for him, to see me go through stuff, and them going through stuff too. I mean, it's a small town.
It's a small
people
town.
love to talk around here, and I love the people here, but I mean, college football fans are a little bit different than an open door. When they're out there on Saturdays and on social media on Saturdays, those ain't the people in there in church.
That's exactly right.
Or
they are,
Sundays,
but they're just
two
totally different people.
Two totally different people. Yeah. So it's a lot that goes into it, and seeing them go through stuff too, with them not being able, after losses, they literally wouldn't be able to go to the grocery store without someone saying something to them, and just little things like that. I think that's what hurt me. The losses and down moments more was to see them affected. I knew that I could handle myself, and I knew what I would just get back to film and get back to work, and they would have to go to work and wait till next Saturday and hope I played better then. So it was a lot for them too, but I appreciate it, and you learn a lot, and who's in your circle, who's there for you when you go through
who's
rough
really
times.
your friend.
Yeah.
So what do you think was probably the hardest moment, if you don't mind kind of breaking that open in this process? Because when you really became the starter first year, ECU entered a dark period. And it was still in one right then, but then it really entered some dark period. And it's only been in the last few years that has come out of it. And so really, but within all of that, what was, you think, the hardest moment for you?
I've had a ton. There's been times, the worst thing in the world is to lose confidence in yourself. And there's been times when I lost confidence in myself, especially early in my career. First 2 years, you're struggling to go to sleep at night, like I said, and you're like, should I even play football anymore?
Wow.
This is even worth it? And then you start thinking, am I even a good person anymore? It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And once you lose your confidence, especially as a quarterback, man, it's tough. As a human in general, it's tough. But when your job is to sit out there and confidently make decisions,
That's right. Be a general.
It's not the best when you lose your confidence. But there was losing the state those early years, because I was saying that was the school that I was going to go to. There were my final two was them and ECU, and then being an hour and a half away. And their fans let me hear it. And that was when I was letting people like that get in my head a little bit. Wow. And I learned to kind of, like I said, shut it down. And I got 10 people probably, and barely even that their opinion matters, and after that it doesn't
That's
matter.
Good.
And there's been some dark times for sure, especially in college, and then I've had a lot off the field stuff that has brought me closer to God, but broke me too. So it's a long journey for sure.
Yeah, man. I think that is so wise what he just said, and for everybody listening, you need to hear that.
Absolutely.
Because he said, I've got 10 people in my life whose real opinion matters. And we live in a day where everybody's opinion is literally at the same volume. And in fact, a lot of times the people who don't matter, their volume is louder than anybody's.
That's what social media does too.
That's exactly right.
It's what you learn, man. It's been crazy. And, you're one of the people, we text a lot, and I appreciate, our relationship. But you realize real quick, after a game when you log on and your phone has 500 notifications and 499 of them are rough or are mean messages, you're like, I got to figure something out. I can't do this. And, early in my career, I'm sitting there reading every single one and taking it to heart. And you just got to realize that that's what playing quarterback is. And, and that's just comes with the business. And, I'm fortunate to know that now. But, when you're 18 years old, you don't know that.
No, man, it's part of the journey.
Get at your phone and look at everything.
Well, and I'm sure too at 18, the transition of high school to college is, you're the guy, everybody's happy, it's great. And then you do get a switch there to a lot more pressure, a lot more voices, a lot more negative comments in that. And I think that translates to, like you're saying, that's all aspects of life. Who we allow the volume into our mind and headspace it's vital. Yeah.
Well, I just see it in my own kids right now. Wesley's 14, and all the time he's got voices going off that, and he's giving attention to them, but they're not the same. They don't matter to him, but he's grappling with whose voice to listen to, who's not. And I just think we have a lot of people right now that are listening to all the wrong voices and not really giving credence to the right ones. And that's a really big deal, to have the right people around you, especially when you're just walking through the maturation of life. The truth is, you had to grow up really fast.
Very fast.
Especially being in your hometown, especially being around everybody knowing you, everybody having access to you. If you would have gone somewhere else, they wouldn't have had your phone number like that. But here, everybody has, has your phone number, and there's a lot of people that do, and so it's really trying to figure that out and walk that out, and you have to have a lot of wisdom around you to do it. That's awesome.
And I lucked up, and the people, even staying in Greenville and being pulled in all different situations. I mean, like you said, everyone here. So anything that I really wanted access to, I would have access to, and not in the good way and the bad way. Really. So I mean, you're getting pulled in all situations and having to figure out who you can trust and what's good for you and what's not good for you, and does this help you become a better person or a better football player? And if it's not that, then scratch it. And having to learn that and mature to understand that is the business that I'm in for the time being, and just having to learn that is tough, and you got to learn quick.
That's right, man.
I think it's interesting. I think you have a really cool story.
Probably should write a book one day.
Yeah,
I would love to.
I mean,
maybe do a podcast.
Maybe start them here. But I think you have a really cool story because, first and foremost, I read an article about you.
Ooh,
so I feel like
read?
Here we go.
I can read.
You can read.
Not just talk. I can read.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
Multiple traits, man. Multiple
But
traits.
first of all, I mean, how interesting is it to have articles written about you? You know what I mean? How many people do you know? It's like, I read an article in Sports Illustrated. It's like that's such a fascinating thing. But I read an article, and in the article you talked about how this was a dream, and you chased the dream from a young age. And I think it's a really cool picture because I think. And I want to get your insight in how, you, even at a young age, identified a dream, identified a calling, and then went after it, and, what faith comes in and how that plays into it. Because I think so oftentimes, Christians, we almost sometimes over-spiritualize calling. Everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it's like, but man, I mean, if you look at your life, I think it's pretty evident that God put a calling on you to go play football.
Absolutely.
And the outcome of that is, man, you're able to have influence and leadership and all of those things that you wouldn't have. So what did go ahead?
Can I just because I would say that God put a calling on his life to be a leader.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then he's using the avenue of football for this season to be able to lead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's so cool is like all you're doing is taking your natural ability and then giving it to God for his glory. But what the calling on your life is as a leader, it's obvious that that's been developed in you, and you've allowed that to be developed in you to this place. I mean, that's pretty cool. So
I think, I've always felt like I had something special into me, and that's just mentally, I've always just thought that, I've growing up, I mean, I've always just bet against yourself. I'm a huge believer in that. And, you're growing up, Tim Tebow was a huge role model of mine, still is to this day. Yeah.
Lefty.
So
that's right.
The lefty, that had a lot to do with it, and just his playing style. And then the way he was able to, worship God and spread Jesus, through a football field, and through his platform was amazing to me. And, when I was younger, I wanted to be a pastor, and then, which is still awesome. It's still a good dream for kids to have, but, sports kind of, led my way to do that. And, then Tebow kind of showed that you can kind of mix them in between.
That's right.
You can still spread Jesus and spread, the love of God, on a football field or on whatever field you're on. And you're growing up. I was a baseball player. In here and didn't play football really till middle school.
Held the record for home runs in Greenville Little League for a very long time.
Still up.
Is it still up? That's right.
You got it.
I got a little 8-year-old out there.
I know
that's coming for you. He's coming for you.
Tell him to take it.
He better eat though. That's all I'm saying. You better eat, boy.
But yeah, man, it's been a crazy journey, and literally since I was 12 years old. You're talking about the article thing. Is I was getting interviewed by ESPN when I was 12. So I've kind of been in the spotlight since then. And when I was 14, I had my first Division I scholarship offer. So your other son's age, and just ever since then, there's been stuff kind of not the spotlight that I'm in now, but there has been a little spotlight, since then, and just kind of growing into that. And every kid's dream is to be a star quarterback or star that. So I really was living my dream, and I felt like I could, I was always close with God because Tebow. He was the one who like literally wanted me to get closer to God because I wanted to be more like Tim Tebow. And just him writing John 3:16 underneath his eye black, was a big thing. And just getting to the Word and doing that. And I was super close with God. And senior year of high school, I was committed to ECU and kind of living out my dream. I was graduating high school early, so I was leaving in December and coming to ECU and having spring ball here. But I was in the middle of my senior football season. Everything's going perfect, committed to your dream school, and breaking records and doing everything in high school and having one of the best seasons I've had literally in my life. I got tragic news, and you helped me through this a lot. Was my best friend passed away in the middle of my senior football season, and pretty much my heart, my life, my mind, everything just broke. And you know, here I am. You know, on the outside, everyone thinks I'm living the dream, and you know, going to my hometown and playing, you know, quarterback in your hometown team, which is a dream come true. But on the inside, I was broken, and that's just. And then you know, a month goes by. You know, that happened in October. I go in December, so a few months go by, and I'm sitting here in my dorm and playing quarterback for ECU, but I'm going home in my dorm and crying every night and being broken and not knowing what to do. And one night I just decided, you know, I can't be like this anymore. I was mad at God for a while, and you know, death does that to people. I mean, I went through a lot of it. You know, I lost 2 teammates, my grandma, and then my best friend within a 2-year span. So it's just a lot to go through, and I had to, you know, grow up fast before you even had to grow up faster.
That's exactly right. That's right.
With the football world, and you know, that's what, you know, put a lot of things in perspectives. But you know, one night I was at my dorm a couple months later, and I was like, you know, something has to change, and you know, I rededicated my life to Christ and got in the Word, and you know, the rest is, you know, learn every day. So.
Isn't it amazing that out of tragedy, and it really was tragic. I mean, you know,
it was tough.
It was tough. I mean, you were in a tough spot.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And he was at a crossroads. There was no doubt of like mentally he was at a crossroads, and it was just really neat to see the direction he decided to go.
Yeah,
and I think that's the piece. I was actually speaking to somebody yesterday. I was on the phone with somebody yesterday that was in a very similar type situation, where they're having to cope with death at a very early age. And there's something about tragic loss that really impact. I mean, because when we experience it for the first time, and because it's almost like it wakens us to like, this life sucks,
right?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know,
shows
what I'm saying,
you the tough side of life. It's not all perfect, and especially at a young age, man, you don't know who to talk to, where to go. You don't even know what this feeling is you're feeling, and having to learn that and process that is tough.
Yeah, and having the right people around you that can give you space to process it without trying to just make it okay is really important. And what you're amazed about is there's a lot of adults that don't feel comfortable in that space either. So they don't know what to say. And it's really important. So if you're in a place of grief, or you're dealing with somebody who has experienced tremendous grief, you need to give them space to really be okay being sad. It's almost like people need permission to say, hey, it's okay. It does suck right now. Take some time. Instead of them feeling like, I've got to get past it. Because it's actually that's the anxiety that comes in. I've got to move past this. That actually makes it 20 times worse, because then they start feeling bad about feeling sad.
And there's no timetable about feeling
at all.
You know,
none.
And so if you're pushing it, then you're like, when is this? You know, I got to get past it. But I mean, there's no. I mean, how do you put a timetable? And it's a process that.
No, I don't think you choose when you grieve, and I don't think that. I mean, honestly, if he sat in a room long enough right now and thought about it, he'd probably still cry.
That's right.
And that's the reality. And so it's okay. You know, it's part of what makes life beautiful. It's just when you experience pain so deep for the first time, you don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Yeah. And you end up feeling, and that's where the enemy comes in with shame, right? And so it makes you feel bad for feeling sad. And I think there's a lot of people today that if you just lean into feelings instead of away from them, and I think that's a lot what we talked about is just literally, hey, it sucks. You're going to be okay, but don't try to drive past it. Sit in it for a little bit and let the Holy Spirit really speak to your heart, and that's what happens. It becomes beautiful, but it's hard.
Yeah, I think, like you literally hit it, becomes beautiful. You know, I think now I look back on it and I'm almost thankful I went through it, and I understand that He's in heaven, and I understand, you know, where I'm at today, and if that didn't happen, where I would be at today.
That's
and
right.
My heart is just so much more pure than it was or was leading to be. And you know, I feel like I was a good kid then, and you know, I had a good relationship with God, but you know, now it's like, you know, unbreakable. I feel like, and that's just, if I hadn't have gone through that, then I don't know. You know, I mean, it would still have been good, but you know, now I feel just so strong in it, and so strong in going through things on the football field and understanding this isn't life. You know, this is just a game.
So
you know, this is. And that really helped me a lot to, you know, recognize that and understand that. And kind of once I got to that point, you know, I've been great since, and you've been at peace with everything.
Well, it brought instant perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's like good and bad, but the reality is it's become very good for you and the rest of your college life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even now, I mean, even to talk to you, you know, and I mean, you know, for those of you that are listening or watch this, at the end of the day, like, he's the same guy off the microphone that he is. And I mean, he is nervous about what's getting ready to happen, but it's more because of expectation, just not really knowing. But there's been this crazy peace in him about this process over these last few weeks and months, which has been wild because, like, I mean,
it's crazy.
Your draft stock has gone through the freaking roof in the last, like, what, 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, it's been wild.
Really since the bowl game ended. So really since the bowl game, honestly, because I played good then. So.
Oh, heck yeah, you played good. Like,
well, and how is that? So what have you been doing since? I know you're doing a lot of training, doing some camps and things like that. How's that process been, and what are you learning in that process?
It's been great. Not having school is the best thing in the world. So, like, most people are like, you don't want school to end because then you got to get a job. Well, my job is football, which I was doing during school.
You've been doing that,
So it's
a
great.
lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah. So I moved to Alabama for 3 months, trained in Mobile with my quarterback coach down there, and literally from 7 a.m. to 2:30 every day, I'd be working out or watching film or getting on the board, going over plays, and then I have the day off. I would, then you work on your body or you work on your mind or your soul, and so I would, go do yoga or sauna and stuff like that, and then dive into the bottle. Then it's 8 o'clock. The Bible. I don't know why I said bottle, guys. Two totally different things. I would read the Bible every night and still do, and some I've done for a while, and it's 8 o'clock at night by that point, and I'm exhausted, so I go to bed about 9 and wake up and do it again for 3 months straight.
Well, plus you're in Alabama, so you can't. There's nothing
There's
else
not
to do
much.
anyway. So.
I told my teammates when I got back here, I was like, the best thing in Alabama, man, was every single time we worked out, it was country music.
That's right.
I loved it. I loved
real
that.
country music.
Yeah, it was great, man. But I'm at peace with it all. Just working out, focus on your body and your mind and your soul. That's pretty much my job now. To do that. So I don't gotta worry about school. I don't got to go, sit at a desk or do anything like that. I get to play ball and learn about it and be around guys that are, superstars. So it's been really cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. What is some advice you'd give to the next guys up?
Next guys in what aspect?
In some guys that are coming up, maybe some guys that are in high school wanting to do something similar to what you're doing. What's some advice you'd give to them?
I would just say belief in yourself gets you a lot further than anything else. Obviously get close with God. Everything that y'all are already preaching, but on the athletic spectrum or really in life, just if you believe in yourself, man, you're already halfway there. And I remember when I was getting recruited. Some people, there was articles and stuff out saying I was a tight end, and literally still to this day, there's still stuff saying that. And I've always said, I'm a quarterback. That's awesome. And 2 days from now, I'm gonna be drafted in the NFL to play quarterback. And that's just one of those things where always believed in myself and always, not to a cocky sense, but I mean, you definitely gotta have something in you that believes that you're better than everyone around you. And if you have that, but don't act that way or don't show that way. But if it's in your mind and you work towards that, then that's a good thing. And I think that's something that I had at a young age was, I was always bigger than kids growing up, and I knew that, but I always felt like, okay, whenever you guys do catch me, like I'm still gonna have something on you, because I felt like I mastered the mental side of it at a young age, at least in sports, and a lot of that was to have to go through adversity, and you're never mastered at it, but that's how I felt. I felt like no one can break my mental side of it, and obviously I went through the tragedy it did, and but then I built it back up, and like I said, I feel like I'm at peace with everything now, and I'm as strong as ever in the mental side of it. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Have you ever even thought about what you're going to do after football? I mean, are you given any thought process, or do you have any dreams after?
So I'm going to get in real estate while I'm playing football.
Yeah.
So my dream is when I'm done playing football, I don't have to work for a living. I just get to do what I love.
Awesome.
And I'd love to go around and be an inspirational speaker of some sorts, and maybe be an author.
Yeah.
Do that, and probably just coach high school ball and impact kids in that way. So
That is so cool, man.
That's the dream. Have a bunch of land out there in Grimes and some
In
cattle,
Grimes,
and
that's right.
Let's go.
and coach some high school ball, man.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love
Man, I think it's just been cool, in the time that we've gotten to just talking this thing. I just have the cool, and it seems like the interesting, unique perspective that you have going into the journey that you have is that you're not just focusing on going and being a football player. You're focusing on being a good person that loves the Lord, follows after Him, but you're focusing on living your life in a proper, appropriate balance, and football is just a piece of that. And I think that's just a really cool, that's a cool, powerful thing.
What's God been really speaking to you lately? What's something that's just like he's been saying to you over and over again?
Yeah, so crazy story. So this is just about being in the Word, kind of, and God, talking me through the Word. And I've always felt like if you're in the Word, even if you're not mentally as close as God usually are, if you're in the Word, like He'll bring you back in.
That's
and
right.
If you're in church, He'll bring you back in.
That'll preach all day long.
Come on. That's a good amen right there. Come on.
Yeah, for sure. But so the other day, I'll just kind of tell you this story, and then I'll kind of get to that, I guess. But the other day, I was driving home from Charlotte, and it was late at night. I was with my girlfriend, or she was driving. I was in the passenger seat, and I hadn't been stressed this whole time. I've been like cool about it and good about I'm doing this, and then the things that we've talked about leaving family and your parents getting old and your nieces getting old and seeing them grow up. It all just kind of hit me at once. I started getting stressed, and I was like, gosh, I really am. This is 6 days away, and this is really here. And it just all kind of hit me. I didn't know what to do, but I read every single night. So right before I read, I always just say, God, whatever I'm supposed to read, whatever I'm supposed to understand, God, just let me understand that. And I'm on a reading plan, so I read a chapter every night. And I've started, the reading plan that I'm on. I started in L.A., which is three months ago. I was in L.A. and I started this plan. And I read just a chapter a night. So it's kind of led up to this point, and every day, it's kind of crazy. So I was really stressing, and I was like, God, just please get this stress away from me. Give me something to help me with this. And I read James 4:13 through 15. Well, I read James 4, but 13 through 15, and it says, it just talks about. It says, you who worry about going to this city or that city or carry on business and making money this way, instead you should say, whatever the Lord's will is, and then that's what we will do, and we'll do it this way and to glorify Him. And that was perfect. That's exactly what I needed. And what's crazy is, like I said, I started that 3 months ago of reading a chapter of night, and then it led to me feeling that way to read that chapter that night a week before the draft. So
only God can do that, man.
Yeah,
so cool.
Absolutely. And I just read that, and it just took a lot off of me.
Yeah.
I understood, that it's your will, God, and I understand that it feels like I have something to do with it, but I really don't. It's your will, and whatever He wants done, that's what's going to get done. And I'm in the football business, but if I can spread Jesus along the way, man, then I'm going to do it. And I have tons of stories. Teammates getting baptized, or teammates hearing about Christ for the first time, or them going through deaths. That's probably the best part of it. Is, seeing guys mature and seeing guys grow closer to Christ is probably the best thing about playing ball.
So good,
awesome, man.
Yeah,
and it speaks to if you just stay in the Word.
Literally,
that's all it is. It's not. It's not reading 45 minutes a night. It's not praying for an hour. It's just staying connected in the Word, because you might not need it for 5, 6, 7, 8 days or weeks at a time, but when you need it, it's there. That's amazing. And that's set in your face. One of my favorite quotes, Eugene Peterson, says, "A long obedience in the same direction."
That's right.
Yep.
And I think really a lot of your story is you had a dream. You pursued that dream, a long obedience in the same direction. And the same thing with the Word. I'm just going to be obedient to read the Word, and I'm just going to do it because it's important to do. And that disciplines is a cuss word in today's culture, but it's so freaking important.
Real,
You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants to just do what they want to do instead of say, you know what? What's the things that I need to do, disciplines that I need to just embrace that are going to make me better over time?
Yeah.
It's really good.
Absolutely. And that's that's with everything. Like if you have discipline, man, you're doing good. So that's a huge thing to have.
Yeah, you've been working out hard, man. You
Trying to, man.
Yeah, you're getting lean and mean and
lean,
ready to roll, baby.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Lean, man.
It's lean.
I had to lose some weight. During the season, you always get a little chunky, man.
I bet you do. You got boys leaning on you.
McDonald's is a lot easier than grilled chicken
at the
house.
Man, nothing wrong with some McDonald's. McDonald's is good.
I still love it.
Yeah, I do too, man. I'm terrible about that stuff. My kids playing baseball, I'm like,
it's
Lord.
easy. It's easy.
So I just had that conversation today with somebody in the office. They were talking about they don't eat at McDonald's. And
Wow.
I'm like,
That's crazy.
everybody eats at McDonald's.
Yeah.
McDonald's is amazing.
Now, nobody talks about it.
No, seriously, though.
But-
the chicken nuggets there are really good.
That's right.
But they have the best sauce, hot mustard.
Hot mustard.
Hot mustard. What do you
Secret
eat?
tips.
I don't get chicken nuggets from McDonald's. I get burgers and I get
burgers and chicken nuggets.
I get okay, you get both.
At the same time, when I'm eating McDonald's, it's on.
Well, we can't be talking about McDonald's. He's trying to get lean.
You made me go. I'm going to tiebreaker.
He's going to tiebreaker. That's right. This podcast is sponsored by tiebreaker. Just kidding. Yeah, he's going to be eating plenty of burgers and fries.
Yeah, that's right.
Tater
That's
tots.
awesome,
That's awesome, man.
Dude,
That's so
man,
good.
appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
This
I
is
appreciate it. It
awesome,
was
man.
cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
dude.
Proud
of you, bud.
we're
Appreciate
praying
it.
for
I
you,
appreciate
rooting
it.
for you, man. I mean, I think that you should just be proud of what you've accomplished already, and I think God's just got more in store for you, man. And we're in your corner cheering
Yeah,
you
I appreciate
on,
it. A lot of streaming you guys from here on
Oh,
out, man.
man.
Yes.
A lot of
Listen, man,
streaming you guys.
he's here every Thursday night and half the time on Sunday morning.
know,
And he'd be out of town. I'm on my
double-dipping,
way
man.
back. Yeah, that's right.
Anytime I'm in town, I'll be here, man.
Yeah.
So if not, I'll be watching, and wherever I go, hopefully you know a pastor like you did in Mobile somehow. But,
Let's go, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and wherever you end up, man, we're gonna be big fans.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right,
Whatever
man.
team that is, man.
Yeah.
We're proud of you here. I know the city of Greenville's proud of you, man.
I appreciate it.
Well, the truth is, man, we're honored to know you.
Yeah,
And I mean
I
that.
appreciate
You've been
it.
an amazing example. I love that my sons look up to you.
Yep.
And
I
I'm
really
proud of
appreciate
you,
that.
man.
Yes, sir.
And it's going to be great. God's got it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? And
God's
when he's
will.
got it, one of my friends always says, when God's got it, we ain't got it.
Yeah,
And so it's all
absolutely.
good.
That's a good
I'm
amen
looking
right
forward
there,
to
man.
it. Good amen. Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you.